Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online. G'day, I'm Fletch and welcome to the show, as I'm about to bring you part 3 of the 1968 Imperial LeBaron build, and it finally makes the road in this week's Classic Restos. 7 a.m. start, and Steve Smith from Buddy's Towing is on the job. You may remember Steve when he featured on Classic Restos with his immaculate EJ Holden. His truck usually gets pretty good economy on his diesel. With this on back today, he won't. As the hoist works overtime, up she goes. Time for brakes. Having a car that goes good has to stop good too. There's well over 2,000 kilograms of Detroit steel here. Having a nice pedal is crucial. I figured because the rear drums need a machine, get everything done under one roof. So Adam at Jim Wall Automotive, Mittagong, New South Wales got the gig. This is Greg, down on the floor. Everyone seems automatically dwarfed when alongside the Imperial. A staff picnic table was used to line up the goodies. Everything here is required to finally get a brake system working on this car, from master cylinder through to newly bonded rear shoes. This is the day it all goes on.
I've just machined these brake drums for 1968. I cannot believe how much metal is actually in them, and I'm sure they're going to last for another 50 years and take another machine, no problem at all.
And this is by far the best way not to get any wear on your rear shoes. Just don't fit any.
Just installing the brake pads into the calipers now, which slot straight in, and they can't fall out. They're held in by the caliper, the way it's constructed. Put the anti-rattle clip in. There we go, and just slot it back on the car.
When I was a kid, I loved cars, still do. The 57 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham was the most advanced car in the world. Cost more than a Rolls. Hand-built with a stainless steel roof, cruise control, electric seats, and would you believe, air suspension. American iron. It's a passion Shannons understand. That's why they insure my daily drive, the caddy, my bike, even the house.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network. Have a look for your nearest Holden Certified Service Centre at holden.com.au, and let's keep supporting Australia's own. 1968 Imperial LeBaron. Elwood Engel designed these cars, and Elwood started at General Motors after World War II. And he worked also for Ford, designing the Mercury and the Lincoln. He joined Chrysler as chief designer in 1961, and he retired from the company in around about 1973. And this Imperial was built at the Jefferson Avenue plant in Detroit. The car, brand new in 1968, had a base price of around about $7,000, which equates to around about $58,000 today. But what's interesting though is that around $7,500 back in '68 could have bought a house in regional America. It's 5.8 metres long and around about 1900 millimetres wide, which is, you know, a considerable size for a road car. The car weighs in at around about 4,800 pounds, but I have seen up to around 2,200 kilograms as well. So a little bit of a difference there, but that'll give you an idea in anyone's language that it's a heavy car. There were only 1,852 of these LeBarons made as well, so that kind of makes it it's a special car. And forest green, this is the colour of this car here, was also quite opulent as a limousine colour back in the day. Has a 91 litre fuel tank, so that's enough to, you know, get you a few streets and then back home again. It's got a whole heap of features that are absolutely incredible. To think that in 1968, the Americans had plenty of great features in the 50s that were ahead of their time as well. So by '68, some of the features had been around a while, you know, such as cruise control, power steering, and even air conditioning at that point. With some of the features on this car, this particular car here, we've got 2 air conditioning units. We've got one under the rear parcel shelf, and we've got one in behind the dash there as a factory unit. It's got cruise control, it's got central locking, power windows, it's got power quarter vent windows. Both seats are powered as well. It also has sentinel lighting as well to switch the headlights on and off. Has a photo cell up on the dashboard which recognises the high beams coming towards the car. It's got like a duplex unit behind the back seat to give you the concerto effect of the radio, like a concert hall. Yeah, that's the thing. So it's like an early form of an echo that you're in a concert hall for the sound. And it's an AM and an FM radio as well. And of course it's got a power antenna. It's got these really beautiful lights in the back of the turret coming down, map reading lights, and they can be individually switched on and off, so it doesn't annoy anyone in the front seats as well if you want a little bit of light at night. Opulence with this car too is a vinyl roof and a smaller rear screen. Now the smaller rear screen, that whole idea of that is to give the occupants or the person in the back some privacy. And you may know in '69 when we had our VIP Valiants here in Australia, they took that same principle as well, to give a smaller rear screen, to give it that limousine type of look. So I like that about the car. I think that's a really neat look. Around the dashboard, we've got some brass plates there for features. They're antique brass plates that they go in the door cards, around the switches for the lights, and across the dash as well. And it's real metal. It's not, it's not fake. It's actual antique brass plates there. Steering column is adjustable tilt, and also the fixing ring to be adjusted there for telescopic as well. So you just bring the wheel out to where you like, just lock off the nut and you're set. It's got some incredible features, and also structurally I have never seen a car with so much metal underneath it. This is a very, very well built car. And of course all the beautiful chrome work and the die cast work around the back is exceptional. It's interesting too, the type of people that these vehicles used to attract too back in their day. King Omar Bongo from the Central African country of Gabon. King Omar was the second president of Gabon for 42 years, from 1967 until his death in 2009. King Omar had a 1968 Imperial LeBaron, just like this one, especially ordered for him. Interesting though, his had a dividing window just behind the front seat, and his did not have a vinyl roof, and it didn't have cruise control either. This one does, so that's quite interesting. With all the weight in a long wheelbase car, they really were the limo, and it's got a 127-inch wheelbase, and they were available longer back in the time, if you believe that. In '67 and '68, Stageway coaches of Fort Smith at Arkansas were a supplier of airport limos, and there were 12 LeBaron Imperials built on an enormous 163-inch wheelbase. Can you believe that? Again, this has got a 127, so they were available in 163, and they were justifiably advertised as the largest luxury cars in the world at the time. The Stageway limos had an extra window and a panel between the front and rear doors. The prices ranged between $12,000 and $15,000 back in 1968 as well, depending on the equipment that you optioned and bought with the car. And of course, they were powered by the famous 440. That goes down as a Mopar grate. Interesting too, these were standard at 350 horsepower, but on the teardown it had the Magnum heads, which were a good score, so they were coded numbers for the Magnum heads. So these cars, you do 70 miles an hour in these cars, and if you plant the foot, the nose will come up. So that'll give you an idea of the torque in the back that these can provide. They're incredible for what they are. They really are. But the limo's sitting on a 163-inch wheelbase from Stageway coaches from Arkansas. Imagine finding one of those cars now. These are pretty rare. I'm led to believe, and I may stand corrected on this, there's 2 '68 Imperials in Australia. There's one in Victoria, and this is possibly the only one in New South Wales. But if you've got any information on that, love to see an email. This car too, it also has its original interior. It's nice. The little grab straps in the back are on a chrome rail, and they just adjust for the passenger's arm length. Just little subtle features like that, encapsulating a little bit of luxury there. And of course, parchment leather. The seats are still in amazing condition for '68. And I think from what I can gather, there's hardly anywhere on the brake pedal. So it's pretty safe to say this was a highway car. And being at a top end, I'd love to know the original history. Would have been someone with a bit of clout that had this vehicle. Whether they were corporate director type material, could have just been a private person. Who knows? Who knows? But whatever the position was of the person that owned this car, I think it's pretty safe to say with an original 86,000 miles on the clock that it was a highway runner. The lights on the front of the car are very cool as well. It has two indicator lamps, one up on top of the fender and one here in the front of the bar. At night, when your headlights are on and you flick the blinker left or right, a cornering lamp comes on to illuminate the pathway of the direction that you're turning into. Could be into your driveway. It lights up that part of the road. Now, you might be thinking, well, my late model car has got that feature, and perhaps today some cars do. But we have to just bear in mind for a moment that this was a feature back in 1968.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be.
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride. If you own a classic, it goes without saying. It just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646? And becoming a member of the Shannons Club has never been easier. On the Shannons Club, you'll be entertained with their own in-house productions, such as Shannons Club TV, Legends of Motorsport, Driven, End of an Era. You can catch some episodes there of classic Restos, along with a whole stack of motoring content down as Australia's largest automotive online hub. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. It's pretty magnificent, really, you know, to think of when you first saw the car and the country that it was in, getting it back to Australia and spending the time on it, and well, here it is on the open road, out and about, and it's driving really well. Oh, there's a couple of little things I've got to address, but you know, when you do a vehicle, you know, there's always something that you know, there'll be a window that sticks or something. There's always something to do, but that's no big drama in the big scheme of things. It's driving really well. Drives as straight as a die. It doesn't pull left or right. It's behaving itself really well. The brakes are amazing. Real good job there. And that's a big thanks also to Justin at Halleray Brakes at Lismore. And boy, what they went through up there with the floods, and he still managed to do those calipers for me and did a tremendous job. They are absolutely awesome. And Peter at Automotive Brake there at Blacktown for the booster, he came highly recommended as well. Of course, the team down at Goulburn Engine Centre did a magnificent job on the 440, and they're pretty chuffed too to know how it's going, and I keep in touch with Andy down there. Yeah, it's, you know, it's almost like a family community when you hang around this automotive scene, you know, as some of you well know. Greg at Jim Wall Automotive, Adam owns the joint. Greg did a wonderful job on the brakes, putting everything back together, doing the machining work and everything. So, you know, I had some good people around me. There's some stuff that you just got to outsource, and I don't mind doing that. It's all part of supporting the associated trades. So the story has it, bought the car from Murray, but we dug a little deeper because I wanted to I wanted to find out who Murray bought the car from. And it's pretty sad really in a way, because I got onto this old guy in Pennsylvania, and back in the late 90s, he saw the car parked up in a driveway next to his family dentist. So he must have gone to the dentist quite a bit. He saw the car often, and he said to the dentist, "What are you doing with that car?" And the dentist said, it's got a seized motor. You can have it for $300. So the guy bought the car for $300, and over time he got older and he became unwell, which is kind of sad. All he ever did with this car in the 20 years of the park up was put a battery on it, sit in it, and see his dash lights come on. You know? And I've been in touch with the guy, and a bit hard to talk to on the phone now. But he was happy that I got the car. He had some good plans for it, but not blowing my own trumpet. The work I've done, I found it hard. There's a few things there that really try you. So that poor old guy, he wouldn't have stood a chance. But anyway, so I kind of feel like the car's restored a little bit for him as well, you know. So. There's no doubt about it, these cars drive remarkably well. You know, sitting in a 54-year-old car, 86,000 miles, well, what's that, around 130 odd thousand Ks, it's really not a lot, is it? But if it's not mileage that gets the car, time will. You know, suspension bushes, all that type of thing. Things, they age and they wear, you know, they can perish, stuff like that. So, you know, some of the componentry in the car hasn't been done. I haven't done the suspension, so I don't know whether it would have been done in its time. I doubt it very much. So, you know, I'm riding on original suspension from 1968. There's no squeaks, there's no rattles, there's no clunks, there's no thuds. It's just doing everything really, really well. I've got to do a U-turn here. Ever seen a 58-point turn? I keep thinking of those long limos made by the company in Arkansas. The 163-inch wheelbase. Gee, this is a 127. A turning circle, it's not that brilliant really, but it doesn't have to be. These, after all, are a limousine car. I don't think anybody would be too worried in 1968 if it took a few turns to back up around a street. What I want to do too is thank you for watching these episodes of the show, because you've come along with me in this journey, and I want to thank you for that. And I want to be inspiration for you. Whether you're about to buy a classic, could be a bike, car, classic truck, or you're about to get your project on the road. It's all inspirational, isn't it? When you can share something that you've done, share the passion, and that can flow on and onto somebody else. And I really like that. Well, that is it for this week's episode of Classic Restos, and I'm hoping that you found it nothing but inspirational. Perhaps you have a project on the build that's not too far away from being put on the road, or acquiring that classic that you've always wanted. And the feeling of getting them out on the road, whether you've bought the car or you've done the build yourself, is priceless. I hope you liked it. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online.